the third portion of the stream today starts right now. Thank you for watching on YouTube if you are. I appreciate it. Let me switch the graphic here. And so some news came out last night, or I mean, I don't know, it came out probably yesterday, but I was working all day yesterday, so when I came home, I saw it, and it was about Matt Stafford, and there's news about Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions are expected to part ways this offseason, and that was surprising for me, and I don't know if it was something to do with just some frustrations that he's had with the Lions, pent up frustration, with the team struggling, over the past 5-10 years or his whole career or whatever. I don't know if it was because of that or if it was because of the new coach that they hired. I don't know if he's just not a big fan of Dan Campbell. I don't know. I didn't talk to Matt Stafford, so I really don't know what that's all about. So, who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to bite kneecaps or something. I don't know. So that's going to be interesting. Where's he going to go? Is he going to go to the 49ers? Is he going to go to the Texans? Is he going to go to the Washington football team? The Patriots, maybe? It's interesting. There's a lot of different places that he can go. And I don't necessarily know which spot is going to be best for him. That's one of those things I'm really going to have to sit down and look at all the different teams. And, again, this is not one of those things where his contract is up. At least I believe so. I believe he's going to have to be traded. So who knows? Maybe they trade Stafford to the Texans for Watson. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. So I would love to hear, like, where do you guys think Matt Stafford's going to go? Because I would love to see where he's going to go, because Matt Stafford is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history, I would say. Like, he's honestly, like, pretty talented, and for anybody who doesn't think that Matt Stafford's all that good, I would advise you to reconsider, because he's pretty good. And, like, Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson was probably one of the most dangerous connections and most dangerous duos ever. And he was pretty good. So he's a guy that you're going to look back on and say, wow, he was really good with the Detroit Lions. And even guys like Aaron Rodgers, who is going to be a Hall of Famer one day, has said, look, Matt Stafford doesn't get enough appreciation for his talent and for what he's done for the Detroit Lions, because he's, and I agree. Like, I've always thought that Matt Stafford was, really good and underrated, but I think Zach, one time, he and I talked about this, and he had said that Matt Stafford was a Hall of Fame quarterback, and I said, whoa, let's not go too far here. I don't think he's necessarily that good, but this is a guy that, for a guy like Matt Stafford to be around and be a starting quarterback for as long as he has, you don't get to be a starting quarterback for that long without having some real talent, and I mean that's true. So it's disappointing that he's never really had the ability to be a really good team, to have a really good team around him. And who knows, maybe he goes to a different team and he really carves it up. Like, he really gets to that next level and he's really good. So I think that the most interesting trade for me is Stafford and Lions Texans, where they trade Stafford for Watson. I think that is that's one that I think would be very interesting. And who knows, maybe Howie Roseman changes his mind and they trade for Carson Wentz. I don't see that happening, because I think if there was any kind of trade to go on with Carson Wentz, I feel like you wouldn't trade for another really good quarterback, because I feel like the quarterback of the future for the Eagles has got to be Jalen Hurts. Got to be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So where's Detroit going to turn for a quarterback? I don't know. I feel like the one that makes the most sense for me is to trade for one, because that way you don't have to rely on drafting one and developing him, Whereas if you trade for one, you can trade for a guy that already has developed and has already proven himself as a quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, that just makes more sense to me. I don't know. Maybe this organization feels differently and they want to start over and start a rebuild again. But I don't know. It just feels like the Lions have been rebuilding for Matt Stafford's entire career, and it's just so odd when you've had guys like, Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate. I think they had. He was really good. I feel like they've had other guys that are just really good, and it just doesn't make much sense for them to be not as good as they really should be. So, interesting development there that I saw yesterday, and another interesting thing that I saw is that the Texans interviewed Josh McCown and Jim Caldwell most recently for their head coach opening. And as I kind of briefly talked about this earlier when I was going through what we would talk about today, and I don't think that these two guys are in serious contention for the job. I feel like the Texans are really focused on one of the assistant coaches out of Buffalo or Kansas City, and with those two teams still being in the playoffs, there are certain restrictions as to how much they can really talk to them and when they can talk to them and all that stuff. So I feel like these were two guys that were like, you know what, we'll interview them just because we got nothing else to do. Jim Caldwell, like, I feel like where is he at? Like, has he done anything with coaching since he was with the Lions and Colts? Like, I don't know. Like, where has he been? I don't know. Like, I would love to. I haven't researched it, obviously, but I wish I did, because I'm really interested to see, like, where's he been? Because I don't know. Josh McCown, he's a guy that he's probably played for, half the NFL at this point as quarterback, and he's a guy that I just don't see him being able to be an NFL head coach just yet. I feel like he's a guy that, without a doubt, he's got potential to be a coach at some point, but right now I just don't see him being a guy that has the ability to be a head coach just yet. Maybe if he starts out as high school and then gets to college and then climbs the rankings a little, or climbs the totem pole, if you will, a little bit. Maybe 5-10 years from now, but I don't see that happening right now. I don't see that being something that next year he's a head coach in the NFL. That wouldn't make too much sense for me. So I feel like right now the most realistic hire for the Texans would be Eric Bieniemy. Like, duh. That's such, like, I am baffled as to how that man doesn't have a head coaching job just yet. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Leslie Frazier is another name that has come up, and I feel like he has potential to be a good head coach. And Brian Dable was another guy that was getting some attention and getting some, there were some rumblings about him for the Eagles job and for the Lions job, I believe. But obviously he didn't end up getting hired for any of those positions. But I feel like ultimately, for me, if I was head of the Texans head coaching search committee, I would be down to Eric Bieniemy, Leslie Frazier, or Brian Dable. I feel like those are the three best candidates out there right now. Who knows, man? Jim Caldwell, like, he was a good coach, but I don't know. I feel like if I had the choice between Jim Caldwell and Eric Bieniemy, 100% would take Eric Bieniemy. Like, again, that truly baffles me as to how Eric Bieniemy is still just a coordinator. Like, I just don't get it. You got a guy who's talking about biting off kneecaps. Again, I understand that was figurative speech. I understand. I know he doesn't really want his guys to bite off kneecaps. So before you start with all that, like, please, how does a guy with like, how does a guy that crazy, how does he get a head coaching job but Eric Bieniemy doesn't? Like, that baffles me. It really does. Like, that, I just don't understand that. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, the NFL is crazy. There are a lot of things that happen where, where you don't really understand why, but it just happens. And I mean, hey, what do I know? I'm a 19-year-old kid that's in college. What do I know? But it feels like the rest of the sports world is like, hey, we should really have Eric Bieniemy should really get a shot at being a head coach. I don't know. But as I mentioned, Zach and I kind of talked about this. We've got 2 good games today, right? I mean, with how much we've been talking about everything else, you might be thinking like, does he know that there are 2 good games today? Yes, I'm fully aware. The first one kicks off at 3:05 p.m. Eastern time. Not that anybody else is watching from any other time zone, but it's between the Buccaneers and the Packers. The Packers are favored -3.5. And I talked a little bit about this with Zach. I'm taking the Packers in this one. The Packers are on a roll. Aaron Rodgers is on a roll. Antonio Brown's out, but that's not really a huge deal for me. The Bucs defense is one of the best in the NFL, but I just don't see that being I don't see their defense, no matter how good they are. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Aaron Rodgers and that explosive offense. And look, sure, the Packers or the Buccaneers beat the Packers the first time they played them earlier this year, but that was week 6. This is now, if you're going on a week basis, this is like week 19 or something like that. So, that was in Tampa. I'm really interested to see how a team from Tampa handles 20-degree weather, and as Zach mentioned, and I'm fully aware that Tom Brady's used to it playing in New England all those years, but that's one guy. That is one guy on an NFL team that's used to playing in cold weather. And Antonio Brown, he's out, but Chris Godwin played at Penn State. I mean, and sure, there's plenty of guys. And Gronkowski played at the Patriots, not at the Patriots, for the Patriots. So there are a few guys that are used to the cold weather, but for the team as a whole to go up to the frozen tundra, like for any team, I don't care if you are I don't care if you're used to playing there or not. That's tough. That's tough to play at Lambeau Field, especially with the cold. But that's not a huge factor. That's just something that I feel like is worth mentioning. Was an honorable mention. So I'm gonna go with the Packers. And I think Aaron Rodgers is really determined to go on one last run. I don't know if he's gonna retire after this year. I feel like maybe he does. I feel like he's still in him. People are so quick to say that Aaron Rodgers is done, and I don't agree with that. I think Aaron Rodgers I think A-Rod has got more in the tank than people are willing to what's the word I'm looking for? Then they're willing to admit, or willing to to say. And maybe part of that is because they just really want Jordan Love to get his shot. I don't know, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers has got a lot more in the tank than people are willing to admit. So that'll be interesting to see how that game plays out. Obviously, a great game is the NFC Championship. You don't get there. You don't get to the NFC Championship easily, so it's not like it's going to be a boring game. At least I hope not. So yeah, I got the Packers winning this one. I think this is the first NFC Championship at Lambeau Field since 2007. So that'll be pretty interesting. Obviously, it's the NFC Championship, and again, as we talked about, the AFC Championship between the Bills and Chiefs. Mahomes is cleared to play, as I mentioned. I don't know how, but he is. But not just the concussion / neck / whatever injury that was. That's not the only thing that he's got coming into this game. Remember, he had that foot injury. Remember that? If you watched the game last week, you may recall that he had some issues with his foot. So he's a little banged up. Interesting to see how he plays today. And as I mentioned, the Chiefs, this Chiefs team, they're very talented, right? Like, I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm not saying they don't have what it takes to be a Super Bowl team. But I just don't know how much determination and how much passion and drive they really have to do it all again. Like, I mean, obviously you want to win the Super Bowl every year, but you're not going to win it every year, right? That's just a fact. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but like, they've reached the mountaintop. I don't know how much, how much they are really, really wanting to do it again. And as I mentioned when I talked to Zach, it's like when you beat a video game, right? You've beaten it, you're pretty good at it, and you've pretty much done all there is to do. And then you go back and you play it again, and you're like, well, I don't really know how much what else is there really to do? I've kind of done everything. What really is there left to do? So, but again, who knows? Maybe they come out and have a great game. I don't know, but I think this Bills team is more determined. They are more. They've got more of a chip on their shoulder. They really have. They're underdogs. Really, I mean, there's not much more to say. I feel like they have a lot to prove still. Somehow, I feel like that's really baffling to me how a team this good is still being doubted. I don't understand that at all. But I mean, look, they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. They've been, as I mentioned to Zach, there was a stretch way back when they had gone to 4 in a row and they lost all 4 of them. So they do have that determination as to, like, hey, they got to get it somehow. So I got the Bills winning this one, and the Chiefs are favored -3, but I'm taking the Bills to win the game, and I got the Packers to win the NFC Championship as well. So, I mean, hey, I feel like Bills-Packers would be an excellent matchup in the Super Bowl unless we get Mahomes-Brady in the Super Bowl. That would be interesting. But think of it this way: if the Buccaneers win, that would be the first time. I'm pretty sure it would be the first time ever that a team would play. A team would go to the Super Bowl and play in their home stadium. There has never been a Super Bowl in which the stadium, the hosting stadium, has had the home team play there. And I know that was probably a really bad way of explaining it, but so the Super Bowl this year is being hosted at Tampa. That's where the Buccaneers play. So if the Buccaneers go to the Super Bowl, they would play at their home stadium, which would be the first time that kind of thing would ever happen in the history of football. So, with that being said, that draws us to the end of our Sunday morning / early afternoon stream. I hope you enjoyed. To the one person who watched today, I appreciate it. And again, if you missed any part of this will be going out on YouTube later today, throughout the day. It'll be uploaded in sections, probably 3 sections. So look out for that. And other than that, there's really not much else to say. Follow me on Twitter at Mike's Madness MU. Follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Mike's Madness. Just search it up. It's the one with the same logo that I have on Twitch. And other than that, I appreciate you all for watching. Not all, but the one person on Twitch, and probably the 3 people that usually watch on YouTube. I appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next time. See ya. I'm out.